Hello, I'm back for another video. My name is Josh Kasich, and today, this is my Naruto review. So, my overall thoughts of the series, I really enjoyed this series. I don't know, is it, I watched Naruto when I was younger, and then I kind of stopped, and, I don't know, when I came back to watching anime after several years, I think I used to watch anime with my dad years ago, and then something happened, and I don't really want to discuss personal stuff on my channel, and so let's say, and so coming back to anime, watching with my dad after all these years. We started watching, Naruto Shippuden on Toonami, and so, this is I remember how I really enjoyed this series, and so, I went back and trying to find ways where we can watch all these episodes because Naruto has 720. 220 being just Naruto, and 500 in Shippuden. And so that's why I decided, I think it was last summer, I invested mostly, my dad paid part of it, we bought Naruto. Now, that's just Naruto, not Shippuden. And basically, because I had the money, let's go do it. And then I got my job working at Jewel, and so then I saved a lot of money, and I eventually bought my Switch, and so near Christmas time I decided, okay, I think it's time. I have the money. Let's go invest in Shippuden, and so I paid. I waited for weeks, just so I could not spend the entire paycheck on this. I wanted to build up, and so I paid part of Shippuden. My dad paid for another part, and so we got the entire Shippuden collection. And eventually, I bought the movies, because we were still watching the regular Naruto. We were still in the middle of that because because we watch it on our big screen in the TV, so we don't have a lot of time. So when my mom goes to bed, because she goes really early bed, 9ish, we usually have the TV from 9 until my dad decides to go to bed, because he works too, right? So we basically we watch 3 to 4 episodes, so it's not a day or a night, so that's not a whole lot of time, right? So that's why it took so long just to finish Shippuden, which we finished last night, because like I said, we could only watch 4. Some nights we're really lucky on some nights where we could watch more, because and some nights, and there's some days we just were lucky and we could watch more, and so that was good, right? And so that's kind of where we got to this point where we finally were able to watch the series, because I finished the series and the movies too, and so I really enjoyed this series. And I'm not this show isn't a happy-go-lucky show. It's definitely sad in lots of parts. That's so if you don't enjoy a show that's kind of sad, and that there's going to be a lot of characters, especially main characters, that are going to die, this probably isn't the show for you. It's definitely not. It's not. Definitely, those shows don't necessarily appeal to me, but I really enjoy Naruto. And, it has action. If you like action, it is a Shonen Jump property, so, that the action and, is definitely part of Shonen Jump anime. It's really, that if you want action, that you're going to get action, and that's what this is. If you like ninjas, this definitely has ninjas. It's kind of really cool. It story writing. It most of the time it has really good writing. I think certain parts it could have been done better. A lot of the filler. Now, some of the filler that it had is important. Where it's placed, that's a little debatable. And some of the filler isn't really necessary at all. Some of the movies could have been written better, too. And so that's why it's like, most of the time it has really good writing, but there's certain times where it just, could have been better. And I think one of the worst parts, written parts, and for me wise, it's not just Naruto, it's mostly Shonen Jump properties in general, where they have love interests, they have characters that end up together that make sense, but the writing to get to that point is not so good. In fact, sometimes it's not at all. You just have that love of interest. That's just the way it is, And lots of times it can feel forced, especially in this anime. And I think the relationships that end up at the end of this show, especially going to Boruto, make sense to me. And I think, a lot of people might not see it that way. And I don't blame them. And the reason for why they don't see that is because how they got to those relationships is the problem. And I like, especially in some of the stories I'm going to write, most of them, I like love interests. I like love stories. I don't have a problem with love stories. I think, when a movie or show is all about a love story, then yeah, that's a little problem, because then the movie is pointless to watch, because they're going to end up together. That's the whole point of the story. And maybe it'll be interesting to see how they get there, but sometimes it's really not, and it's just really predictable. I mean, what's the point of watching a movie? You already know the end of the movie. That's why, to me, love stories are better as a subplot of a story and not the main focus, because that they're going to end up together. Well, unless it's a tragedy, then that both of them die, or one of them dies, or whatever. But they're going to end up together, so but that's not telling you what the entire movie is about. And that's kind of why I want, if you're going to do a love story or a subplot of a love story, you got to write it. You got to show how they got together. And that's my biggest problem with Naruto and most Shonen Jumps, is that they have love interests, but they don't really write it. Hinata and Naruto, I always thought that's, to me, even my dad thinks that's right. Some people might not think that. They think it should have been Sakura. And the reason why I don't think it should have been Sakura is because Sakura never loved Naruto. It wasn't, it was, and even if Naruto loved Sakura, maybe some part of Sakura did love Naruto, but her heart was always for Sasuke. Even if you don't agree with the fact that she still loved him, after how many times he tried to kill her, even then, the thing is about soulmates here. It doesn't matter what you do. You know that it's your soulmate. You just feel that. And I think that's what Sakura is. Even though Sasuke tried to kill her, her heart she knows that Sasuke was her soulmate, and even that, and she believed that someday Sasuke will change. Even if Sakura tried to attempt to kill Sasuke on her own, I still think that's how it ended up right. Sakura with Sasuke, I think is right. And Hinata, out of all the characters, from the very beginning, Hinata always cared about Naruto. From the very beginning, when no one else did. Maybe Naruto didn't realize that. I mean, he is a dense character, as most at shows like this, the main character is dense. And the writer said he didn't think until Hinata confessed her feelings in front of Naruto, even though he's still dense and didn't really get it, when battling pain. That's when the writer thought that, okay, yeah, Naruto and Hinata, that's what's going to happen. To me, watching the entire show, including Naruto and just Naruto, I realized that even if the writer thought that, I think he always knew that was going to happen. Even if he doesn't think that, I believe that's what. Oh, okay. So with all the hints throughout Naruto, especially like Naruto saying certain things like Hinata, you're going to make someone a good wife someday. I mean, come on. Out of all the love interests, I think that was probably written better and probably makes the most sense in this entire anime is Shikamaru and Tamari. Those were probably the best, definitely writing wise. Definitely I could have liked more. They did show some dating scenes at the end of the show. I wish they gave that more treatment to other characters like Sai and Ino. But I also thought Sai and Ino was definitely going to happen as well. So, but yeah, like that has been hinted since they battled in the tuning exams, and that's I think that like I said, I think that's one of the worst writing wise is the dating and love interest parts. And that's probably one of the parts I wish were done better, but this is a Shonen Jump, so it makes sense why. I mean, Shonen Jump is not known to do that, good writing for love interest, so it's understandable. But like I said, that doesn't stop me for wishing it was better. And a lot of the bad filler, they could have gotten rid of that and had the dating scenes develop more. Or the dating and all that just develop more by getting rid of the filler and having more of that. That's just my opinion. So, the Naruto movie, I think, the last one that had the love in, kind of finally showed Naruto falling in love in Naruto. Like I said, that movie, I can see why people could feel that's a little forced and I understand why. I mean, it does kind of feel a little bit forced where they just have an entire movie where Naruto does all this just to fall in love with Hinata, but I think it just makes more sense to me. A lot of people thought maybe Naruto doesn't really love Hinata, and he just thought that it's the only person he could be with, and I don't feel that way. Naruto, I think, just realized, finally had a clue. And I think he fully does love Hinata. He just finally got a clue. And even though he said he loved Sakura, I don't think he ever really truly loved Sakura. And I don't think it's the reason Sakura gave in the Naruto last movie. No, I don't. Maybe he did love Sakura in some way. But like I said, he doesn't really know what love really was. But I think he really... Sakura was definitely probably one. I mean, I guess Ino was the more popular one, but like Sakura definitely became probably one of the popular ones. Not to people, but I mean popular in the group of people in the anime, not people liking her anyway. Because a lot of people don't like Sakura, which I don't really get why. I guess people find her useless and annoying. I don't see that at all, but that's fine. Yeah, and so that's definitely probably the biggest points is that that I feel why do I don't think Naruto really likes Sakura? It's just because I think, you know, I don't know, maybe some point, because he could have picked all the girls, I guess, but he picked Sakura, so there's some part in him that kind of had like Sakura. But I still feel like it wasn't truly love, and that a lot of people believe, and so that's why I don't think Naruto and Sakura should have ended up together. And especially after that one scene where Sakura kind of fake, not really tried to confess to Naruto that she loved him when that was all fake. I think it definitely wouldn't have worked out after that. So that's just my feeling on that. I think some of the worst part of writing, killing Neji. Like, there's no reason that they had to kill Neji. I mean, I guess they killed. I think a better reason to kill Neji or any of the characters is to show that this is a war, and we can't just have all. I mean, Naruto's the main character, but you have all these sub main characters. Important characters to the story. It would be really weird for war if all 11, all of them make it out. But the reason why they killed Neji is because they wanted Hinata and Naruto to get together. They felt like if Neji was still alive, that wouldn't have happened, and so they killed Neji to protect the idea of Naruto and Hinata. That's bad writing to me. You might think cousin on a cousin is wrong, and it definitely feels wrong, but in Japanese culture, especially in clan wise, is not wrong in that way. It happens a lot, and most because clan members want their clan to stay pure or stay within their clan, and so basically of course, Hinata could have ended up with another Hyuga, because there's supposed to be other Hyugas, and it's possible that Hinata could have ended up with Neji. Now, this is a kids show, so obviously they're not going to do that. But that's my point. Since it's a kids show, they're not going to do that. So what is the point of killing Neji? And now, technically, based on science, cousins are actually very genetically different, and so a lot of people don't. It might be considered. A lot of people might consider that incest, but incest is only incest if, because of the genetics being similar and relationship. Well, according to science, cousins are genetically different, so it couldn't be considered as incest. So, but I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right that a cousin would go with a cousin. I find that disgusting. But whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason that shouldn't be not the reason why they killed Neji, and so I feel like Neji should have still been around. Especially could have been interesting to see his relationship with Boruto and Himawari. That could have been interesting, but it is what it is. They killed Neji, and we can't go back from that. But like I said, I think at times, most of the time, it has good writing, but I think that's certain times it has bad writing, and that's probably the worst. I think the filler and the love interest is probably the 2 points I feel are worse in the show, plus the rhyme. But everything else, if you enjoy ninjas or you enjoy a lot of action, the show has it. Like I said, if you're not much of a sad person, if you don't like watching things that are kind of sad, this anime lots of times is sad. Even like character wise, like even characters that aren't even like the main characters, just like random side characters, the show finds a way for you to feel sad about them, even if you're not attached to them. This show can still make you sad for that character, and that's why it's definitely. I wouldn't say I've watched Full Metal, and I think that anime is definitely a lot more sadder than this, but I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I saw Full Metal. I both saw Full Metal and Full Metal Brotherhood because my dad owned the original Full Metal, and then I bought him Full Metal Brotherhood. So, but yeah, that show is definitely, that anime is definitely sad. It is not a happy-go-lucky show. So don't. But yeah, if you don't like those type of shows, it's not really for you. But I think if you don't like that, but you can stand it, I think this show you could definitely stand it more than others. And I definitely enjoyed this series. I definitely recommend this show. I also recommend watching Boruto. A lot of people don't like it. I don't get that. I think a lot of the complaints about Boruto really makes no sense to me. And because, like, for instance, like, the way Boruto acts, a lot of people complain about that. I think that makes sense. Boruto, I mean, he feels like his father's never around because he's Hokage. And, you know, that really does happen in real life where a father isn't around, and it kind of it does, like, you know, a lot of times, you know, sons are, when that happens, become not only rebellious but want to get attention, and because they don't have they want their father in their life but they don't have it. And I feel like that's what Boruto feels like. You know, a lot of the antics that Boruto does or did, it's just like Naruto. And you didn't complain that Naruto did any of that stuff, but you're complaining that Boruto did. You can see why my kind of problem there with people complaining about Boruto. But now, people complaining about the fact that Sasuke hasn't had a son or multiple sons and just has a daughter, that I totally agree with. Because Sasuke needs a son to increase the clan, because unless Sadara marries someone who doesn't have a last name or doesn't care about their last name, then the Uchiha is going to die with her. That name, not the blood. The blood will increase, but the name-wise would just end. And I think the way the writers are going, that Boruto and Sarah end up together, yeah, I think pretty sure going forth, if that happens, the Uzumaki name will be going on, and not the Uchiha. And you can kind of see the problem there is, right? And I don't think Sara's going to end up with Mitsuki, who doesn't have a last name. I definitely don't think that's happening. Although the writer could do a 180, and it does that happen. But a lot of people think he's going to end up with Chocho. But other than that, like I said, back to the show. Like I said, I do recommend the show. It's really good. I know it's really long, so it's going to take a while for you to watch it, unless you're going to watch it, like, every day. Like, I'm like, my Pokemon collection that I have that I've been building up, basically, since I have nothing better to do than stay home, I've been watching movies and shows, so I'm just flying through that, because, so if you do something like that, like if you binge watch, then probably you could fly through a lot of it, but still take a while, considering 720 episodes, so, plus the movies. But yeah, like I said, I recommend it. You guys should go watch it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a little long, but I just wanted to get all my thoughts out because it's a long series, so it deserves a long video. If you are new, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified from the next upload. My YouTube channel website link is down in the description, as well as my Twitter, as always. And Thank you. Goodbye.